Sapala Sukala Bala Gure Sapala Sukala Bala Bhaja Hore Mama Vedādanandana Bhaya Saranarayandare 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 Vedana Yogana Putra Parijana Eke Kiya Se Para Kutere Vedana Yogana Putra Parijana Eke Kiya Se Para Vedana Yogana Putra Parijana Eke Kiya Se Para Kutere Vedana Yogana Putra Parijana Eke Kiya Se Para Kutere Kamala Dala Dala Jivana Kalamala 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 Bhaja Hari Pada Bhaja Hari Pada Bhaja Hari Pada Bhaja Hari Pada Bhaja Hore Mama Vedādanandana Bhaya Saranarayandare Bhaja Hore Mama Vedādanandana Bhaya Saranarayandare Bhaja Hore Mama Vedādanandana Bhaya Saranarayandare Bhaja Hore Mama Vedādanandana Bhaya Ravana Kirtana Smarana Bandhana Pada Sevana Dasare 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 Rujana Sati Jana Matmani Vedana 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 Govinda Dasa Dira Govinda Dasa Dira Govinda Dasa Dira Govinda Dasa Dira Bhaja Hore Mama Vedādanandana Bhaja Hore Mama Vedādanandana Bhaya Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Jai Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai Sri Prabhupada ki Jai Vishnupada Paramahamsa Privrajakachaja Stotra Satta Sri Simad His Divine Grace Shirabai Charanarendra Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Skandiviti Founder Charyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Principal Host Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana ki Sri Vrindavan Mathura Dhama ki Sri Dwarka Dhama ki Sri Jagannath Puri Dhama ki Sri Navadip Mayapur Dhama ki Sri Mayapur Chandra Dev Mandir ki Ganga Mayi Jamunamayi ki Tulsi Vibhakti Devi ki Harinam Sankirtan ki Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda ki Transcendental Book Distribution ki Jai Sisi Gaurita ki Jai Sri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Devi ki Jai Sri Krishna Balarama ki Jai Sri Giri Govardhana ki Jai Sri Panchatattva ki Jai Sri Sri Radha Madhava ki Jai Nithai Gaura Primanandri All Garis Siddhi Samadhavati All Garis Siddhi Samadhavati All Garis Siddhi Samadhavati All Garis to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga all Garis to Srila Prabhupada. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjanasakaya Chakshurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Juta Parakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sargadatam Sahagana Raghunakanditam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadukam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Sakanditam Scha Hare Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Natakamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripasindhubhya eva cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. We have two short mantras that you can repeat. The first one is very well known. The second one is probably not known or much less known. So you will learn it this evening. Everyone may fold your hands close to the heart. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 Hear attentively. Om Surabhyai Namaha. 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 Mukham karoti vacharam tvam gundangayate hidam yatkripalamam vande Shri Guru Dinadarinam. Yatkripalamam vande Shri Guru Dinadarinam. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Krishna Krishna. Hare Hare. Hare Rama. Hare Rama. Rama Rama. Hare Hare. Jai Sri Harinam Sankirtan ki Jai Samasta Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. I think everyone is conscious, awake. So I'd like to begin by actually thanking Radheshyam Prabhu for inviting me to his representative, our Antadvaita Prabhu, whom he sent personally to our little abode, tucked away. And it's always a wonderful opportunity, of course, to meet with the devotees, especially our younger generation. We all know how our founder, Acharya, His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, from the very beginning, even before going to the Western countries, was targeting the youth, young educated people. So just a few small, well, first of all, I'd like to also introduce one devotee who's traveling with me, His Grace Kishara Krishna Prabhu from Bali, Indonesia. Actually, our Antadvaita Prabhu was mentioning a little earlier about one village in Indonesia, not in Bali. Who's been to Bali? My God, okay. Who's been to Indonesia? Okay, nobody. Anyways, you're all invited to Bali, especially to our small village. We have a village on the island of Sumatra. Now, many of you may not know, may not realize, but the country of Indonesia is the fourth largest populated country in the world, after what used to be China. India, China, USA, and Indonesia. A lot of people there. So he's one of them. we brought a sample. Actually, Prabhu Kishora was instrumental from the very beginning in establishing our village on the island of Sumatra, and the village we call it Gita Nagari Baru. This is your introduction to Bahasa Indonesia. Baru means new Gita Nagari. Gita Nagari Baru, B-A-R-U, simple. Welcome to Indonesia. So, actually this year on Gaur Purnima, the community there of devotees, I mean, initially there were, 3 brahmacharis?
Yes.
Yeah, 3 brahmacharis, who very quickly actually became grihasthas. I just made a statement. Because now we have actually over 170 devotees living there, like about 40, 45 families. So we celebrated our silver jubilee, 25 years. And that's the place actually we'd like to invite you sometime, maybe not all 200 of you together. But every year actually since the last few years, we have a group of devotees from India who travel to different places, especially this small village. Prabhu Kishora, before joining as a devotee, was and still is actually, in Indonesia, Bali especially, he's from Bali, which is quite a small island, but majority of the residents of Bali have a very close, intimate connection with the Vedic culture, actually the whole of Indonesia for that matter. But Prabhu Kishora is a very expert sculptor. In his village, his whole village, they are carving Garudas. So the whole of Bali, of course, you can see very nice statues of Garuda. And so maybe 3 years ago, he and a small group of devotees, they came and they helped to build a small kutir, which is having some of the art crafts of Bali, right? Yeah. So in addition to being an artist, and he's from the village, and he loves to travel a lot, Cambodia, Malaysia, Ukraine also, Ukraine and Canada. He was in Canada with another brahmachari a few years back. Who's been to Canada? You guys don't travel too much, no? Anyway, we're still young. So we're both happy to get an opportunity to spend a little bit of time with you. Maybe I should explain a little bit. It's the material world, these things are there. Once we'll all be in Goloka, we won't have these disturbances. Meantime, it's like, we have to practice to be tolerant and patient. So this second mantra that I was kind of introducing, Om Suradhyaya Namaha, is very significant. That's why every day before giving Bhagavatam class, I chant this mantra. It's a bona fide mantra, by the way. It's in several Shastra, Puranas, and basically it's in glorification of Mother Surabhi from for those who may not know. And of course, because you're all from India, you probably all know. But the Surabhi is the original cow in the spiritual world. And all the cows, not only those here in India, but all over the world, their mother is Surabhi. Yeah. And, in the last, when I came to Mayapur, actually in 1976, soon after coming to Mayapur, we started a village outreach program called Namhata, which is still quite well known and popular and has expanded in other countries as well. But in those days, when I was going to the villages, you'll understand why I'm talking about this as I go on, hopefully. Anyone who reads any book of Srila Prabhupada comes across the word varnashram. It's, unavoidable. It's in all the books, practically all the lectures and conversations, etc. But to this day, the word varnashram means many things to many people. Probably as many people who hear or speak about varnashram, it has like a different type of meaning. And it was only after I left India, I was in India for many years without leaving in the early days. It was Krishna's arrangement, a wonderful arrangement, of course. But it was only after I left India I discovered, to me it was a discovery. It's like, all of us, well, you're all here because you've discovered Krishna consciousness, right? Otherwise you would not be here. And whenever we read books, whenever we hear maybe classes, if we are attentive and if we have a desire to learn, to understand, we discover, we uncover, isn't it? We begin to understand things that maybe did not mean anything for us before. And so at least maybe in the last 25 years, the whole varnashrama theme, we could say, has been, to me, it's like when we join an organization like, the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, we somehow, if we want to actually remain connected with the society in whatever manner, either as a full-time devotee or there's two types of full-time devotees. What are the two types of full-time devotees? The first one is one who's staying, what we normally understand, staying in a temple as a full-time devotee, right? But the other full-time devotee is one who is not in a temple, but he's fully committed, fully committed to the Krishna consciousness philosophy, fully committed to the Krishna conscious lifestyle. And this is really important because that's the whole purpose of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Harinam Sankirtan movement, to introduce actually the Vedic culture, and of course in a very unique way as well. We all know how Srila Prabhupada, performed at that time and continues in many ways to perform miracles by continuing to introduce, this Krishna consciousness culture, which is our original Vedic culture. And we all know, excuse me, I'm having a problem with my voice today. We all know, we should know, that the whole dimension of varnashrama is something that Prabhupada spoke about extensively. And whether it's varnashram or something else, all of us, to actually remain connected with this philosophy, to remain connected with this mission. I think that's part of the theme this evening, mission. Can you remind me again, what is it?
Missionary spirit following in the footsteps, Srila.
Missionary
Spirit following in the footsteps.
spirit, yeah, missionary spirit, following in the footsteps of His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada, yeah. Actually, anyone who comes in contact with this mission, it's a mission. If we have, and we should, even a little bit of understanding of what is meant to be the mission of life. Actually, without a mission, without a goal, without an objective, without knowing where we are going or where we are meant to go, obviously we'll never get there. So life in itself actually is, we know from Shastra, is meant for that, to discover that mission of life. What is that mission of life? Well, in many ways it's very obvious. That mission of life is to actually become self-realized and understand how our real place and position is not in this very challenging place that we call the material world. And Srila Prabhupada has created this society to actually facilitate and give, I would say, unlimited opportunities. I mean, as young people, I was not in your shoes, no one's wearing shoes right now, but I was in your situation not so many years ago. I came in contact when I was 27, you're a little younger, I think, than 27. But when we are young, it's quite natural that we should be inquisitive. Actually, the first time I attended a Hare Krishna lecture, first time I visited a temple, which was actually in the summer of '73, the devotee who was the temple president, that was in the city of Ottawa, where I joined actually as a devotee, that same year, at the end of the year, basically. He gave a lecture, and it was the first time that I heard what many of you, of course, are knowing, the first aphorism of the Vedanta Sutra, Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now that we have attained this human form of life, we should be curious or inquisitive to understand, well, what is life? What is the purpose of life? And I think it goes without very many explanations that the world is in dire need of individuals who actually know what the purpose of life is, who know what the mission of life is. Because actually the majority of people don't know, isn't it? The majority of our leaders in the world don't know. The majority of parents who are responsible to raise their children also don't know what is the real purpose and mission of life. And these are especially found in, these standard, that was one of my great discoveries that very first day. I had already been introduced to the Bhagavad Gita, but I had never heard about Srimad Bhagavatam. And of course, I think most of you, majority, are from India, born in India, which is a tremendous, great fortune for all of you. We sometimes don't realize it. But being born in India means that one from very early age at least hears about, Ram and Krishna and so many things. It took me 25 years in this body, in this life, to even hear the word Krishna. That's a long time. Only at the age of 25, approximately, I came across this, the Bhagavad Gita. And that was, of course, a revelation in itself. And then Srimad Bhagavatam. So India has that wealth of knowledge, that wealth of culture, and that original, natural lifestyle which is meant to favor and help us reach that goal or destination of becoming self-realized and actually wind up our business in the material world. In the last number of years, Srila Prabhupada gave so many instructions, very, very important instructions. Now, I don't know if you are aware that one of the important instructions given by Srila Prabhupada was in regards to 50% of his mission. I think you know. Prabhupada said actually 50% of my mission has yet to be fulfilled. And that is establishing Varnashrama. Now there's an important book which is having Prabhupada's, 100% Prabhupada's various quotes. You can give me that book speaking about Varnashram, which I highly recommend because it's a fundamental, this was commissioned actually by the GBC many years ago on the occasion of the, Srila Prabhupada's centennial, which was, what year? Prabhupada's centennial?
1996.
1996, correct, yeah. 1896, just add 100, 1996. So a few years before that, the GBC had wanted that devotees do some research on community development, and they came up actually with this this book, which again I highly recommend. So in the last so many years, some people are into book distribution, some people are into, some devotees are into opening temples, which is great. Some devotees are into congregational preaching. Youth preaching actually is an important congregational preaching wing of the congregational ministry. And what is less known, what is less understood, and in my humble understanding and view, unless we understand this aspect of this dimension as given by Srila Prabhupada, then there'll be something missing of the mission or within the mission. And how many are from village background here? Jai, Haribol, my God. Raise your hand again. Somebody should take a picture. Take a picture. No, really. I'll take a picture. Yeah. I won't have you keep your hand up too long, because you might get tired. But only those from village, right? You take it from back here. You get more hands. You can get up. You can get up. Yeah.
Stand up here.
Excellent. That must be close to
50%.
Yeah, you're right. Touché. 50% of the mission. Should I say it? When we speak of, Vedic culture means what? Sanatana Dharma. It's easy to understand. But what is not easy to understand is what does Sanatana Dharma mean? Let me ask the question and see what response. If somebody asks you very briefly, what is the meaning of Sanatana Dharma? Raise your right hand, not left hand. Raise your right hand. It's okay. He's accustomed to speaking on the mic with the right hand. It's okay.
To love and serve Supreme Lord.
Huh?
To love and serve Supreme Lord.
To love?
And serve Supreme Lord.
Okay. Hare Krishna. To love and serve the Supreme Lord. Okay, you can pass the mic to somebody else? Actually, yeah. Yes.
The constitutional position of the living entity.
The constitutional position of a living entity. Okay. One more in the back. Behind.
Our eternal dharma.
Huh?
Our eternal dharma.
Our eternal
Dharma.
Dharma. Yeah. Okay. Actually, I won't go around to. We have 200 people here. So I mean, all the answers are correct, but I'd like to try and take you on the following kind of path, which hopefully will give a little bit more insight of what that means. And we find this actually, the references, I don't have them in front of me, but when we speak of dharma, we speak of two levels of dharma, both of which are eternal, both of which are very scientific and very profound. One is called spiritual swadharma. Spiritual swadharma, which has to do with the eternal identity of the jiva, isn't it? And it is summarized by the following most important statement given by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Jiver Swarubhave Krishna Nityadas, isn't it? Everyone knows this. So this is on the level of spiritual swadharma, where most of us within our society and from the beginning when Srila Prabhupada introduced the movement, we have primarily been focused. Yeah. Now the other dimension is referred to as material swadharma. There's spiritual swadharma and there is material swadharma. Why? Because within this body we have the soul, the jiva, the spiritual dimension, our actual eternal identity, and then we are in this body, this machine, isn't it, which is matter. So we are a combination of both, isn't it? As long as we remain in the material world. So here is what needs to be understood. We all know that until and unless we come to understand that we are, different from the body, that we are eternal spirit soul, unless we come to understand our original identity, I think you will all agree we cannot actually be happy, isn't it? We don't know who we are, and therefore we make all kinds of decisions which are wrong very often and bring all kinds of suffering. So our original identity is that we are spirit souls, and that's the beginning of a whole, So similarly, Krishna has arranged for those of us, for all of us, who are here in the material world, a particular material arrangement, which is actually Varnashrama Dharma, which is an eternal arrangement, which is actually a very scientific arrangement, which there are three aspects that are nicely explained by Srila, by Grandfather Bhishmadev in the Mahabharata. And this is something very crucial, very important. Grandfather Bhishmadev, this is to help us understand about material swadharma. Grandfather Bhishmadev speaks about three gifts of nature. Three gifts of nature that are essential for us to meet all of our necessities of life on all levels. On the bodily level, on the physical level, on the psychological, emotional level, on the social level, and on the spiritual level. So let me ask the question, what are the three gifts of nature that are spoken to by Grandfather Bhishmadev, who says that actually until and unless we properly relate, understand, respect, and even worship these three gifts of nature, we will fail in all of our attempts to do even simple things in this world. And these three aspects that I'll tell you in a few seconds are actually, in many ways, the foundational pillars of the Vedic culture. And modern day society has no understanding about this. And unfortunately, many of our own devotees have less knowledge about this. I mean, ordinary people, they have absolutely no understanding. Devotees may have some understanding, but generally very less. So if I was going to ask you, and I will, what do you think are gifts of nature? What would you consider gift of nature? Coming from a personality like Grandfather Vishmadev. Yeah, you can just speak loudly.
Cows.
Huh?
Cow.
Yes, cows. How do you know that? Why do you say cows?
I heard from one of the lecture of Radha Govindas Goswami Maharaj that cow is one of the best gift of Mother Nature to us.
Yes, you heard correctly. Second gift of nature, in case you know, let somebody else know.
Brahmanas.
Brahmanas. Go Brahmana hitaya cha. We can't just repeat mantras. Brahmanas are very important. But that's not the one. Grains. Rain. Not the answer we're looking for. Not what, yeah.
Piece of land. Piece of land.
Piece of land. Why piece of land? Land. Just land, all of them. And just a piece of land. Yes. So in that order, Grandfather Bhishmadev explains how cows is the first gift of nature, without which we cannot actually be civilized, without which we cannot learn how to live properly, because actually, Gava Pratista Bhutanam, cows are the support of all living entities, not only human beings. That's a whole discussion, that's a whole seminar actually. Yeah. Cows, then land, because you can't have cows without land, and you can't have a healthy land without cows. They go hand in hand. Yeah. And the third, of course, is knowledge. Cows, land, and knowledge. And of course, knowledge means ultimately culminating in Krishna consciousness. Isn't it? Raja Vidya, Rajagoyam, Pavitram, Vidamrutanam, Pratyakshabhagamam Dharyam, Susukam, Karthamagayam. So these three principles are in many ways, the heart of Varnashrama Dharma. Vedic culture is an agrarian culture. That's why I was asking how many are from village. If we want to restore, and we do, that's a standing order given to us by Srila Prabhupada. If we want to restore the Vedic culture, we have to restore our villages. We have to actually turned the tide, practically speaking, whereby since the last century we are more and more going towards increased urbanization. We actually need to go towards rural village life because it is. That's why the model. You can give me this file. Yeah. That's why the model for us. What is our model? Krishna, of course. But what is our model in terms of living arrangement or living condition? Mayapur is also very nice. But what is our model? This is our model. Make Vrindavan village. Our model is, Vrindavan. Where are we all endeavoring to go back to? Goloka Vrindavan, isn't it? Yeah. So, in the last few years, in traveling to different countries, this has been the theme that, because it's the heart actually of Varnashrama culture, it's the heart of Vedic culture. And actually the majority of people in any society are actually meant to live in the country. Because, Vedic culture is based on 4, sciences. Another short quiz for you. What are the 4 sciences upon which Vedic culture, Vedic education is based? You have to raise your hand. What are the 4? How many have gone to Gurukul here? Okay, good, very good. There are 4 standard sciences which actually will enable us to thoroughly understand these 3 gifts of nature. And these are meant to be part of, my cell phone just needs to keep track of the time here. That is why Srila Prabhupada, he wanted that we establish, Varnashram colleges, for the purpose of introducing our, rank and file devotees to these basic concepts of the Vedic culture. Because we don't get this kind of understanding, we don't get this kind of knowledge in our regular schools and colleges and universities. So it's not surprising that most of you will not know because you've not, it's not been taught. So you find this especially in the Kautilya Arthashastra, Chanakya. Anvikshiki, which is the science of philosophy. That is the first of 4 faculties that is meant to make up Varnashram College. Here in Mayapur, we need to establish Varnashram College, isn't it? Prabhupada wanted 50 years back that every single center have a Varnashram college to train not only individuals as brahmanas, but of all the different categories. So the first of the faculties or sciences, Anvikshiki, the science of philosophy, or in the Western world is known as metaphysics, which includes Sankhya, Yoga, and Tarka. This is it's all there in our Vedic literatures. Second science is called Trayi, science of education, for the brahmanas especially. Third science is called Dandaniti, science of politics. And the fourth science, which actually defines what is meant to be the natural and most sustainable economy, is Varta. Varta means the science of economics. And what is the mantra? What is the formula, Vedic formula for the science of sustainable economy? Krishi Gorakshavanijam Vaisha Karma Swabhavajam. This is unknown in modern day society. It's unknown to our devotees to a large extent as well. So when Srila Prabhupada speaks about, reviving and protecting Vedic culture, he's talking about this natural lifestyle that the vast majority of people in the world are meant to actually follow, and that the vast majority of our own devotees are also meant to follow. There's a fantastic purport in the 10th canto. You can make a note of it. 10, 11, 37. Short purport, but very powerful. The title of that particular chapter is Krishna's daily activities in Vrindavan. And the text is describing actually that when Krishna was old enough, like when he was 6 or 7 years old, he was given the responsibility of calves. Close. Yeah, small cows. Because Krishna is small. Later on, he's promoted. And in that purport, Srila Prabhupada, in a very simple but very powerful way, describes the two major, we could say, Vedic forms of education. One is called actually formal, and the other one is called non-formal. Prabhupada doesn't use that word, but for formal he calls, which you can relate to possibly more easily, academic education. Academic education, Prabhupada explains, actually is meant, in the Vedic context of Vedic culture, is meant for brahmanas. When Krishna and Balaram are in Vrindavan, they are, in the village, they are enacting the role of Vaishyas. Yeah, correct. So Prabhupada explains how every day when Krishna and Balaram go with their friends to the different forests of Vrindavan, this going to the forests of Vrindavan, this associating, interacting with boys of the same age, this natural environment, this is Vedic education. This is non-formal education that is meant to be there for the vast majority of young boys. That is why when we disconnect ourselves from this Vedic culture, from this Vedic lifestyle, then we disconnect ourselves from what is actual education. We disconnect ourselves with what is actual, economy, proper system of economy. And in this way we become disconnected, and therefore this is exactly what has been ongoing maybe for the last 200 plus years, since the days of the, what we call Industrial Revolution and French Revolution, which have actually kind of like pointed, society towards what we are seeing today. Ever increasing urbanization and mechanization and consumer-oriented society, etc. So Prabhupada makes the following observation: the more we surround ourselves, the more we become dependent on modern day gadgets and machines, etc., more difficult it is to actually take up and to even understand about spiritual life. So this whole dimension of dharma is coming back to our definition: spiritual swadharma and material swadharma. So in the same way that dharma, one nice and simple way to understand dharma is what is original, right? So what is original in terms of us and our identity? We are spirit souls, so that is our original nature. And the more we act on that platform of bhakti, devotional service, then we are rightly situated and we can become happy. In the same way, exactly the same way, the more we understand what is meant to be the more original, natural way of living, what is meant to be our, we call, prescribed duties, as mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita, Srila Bhagavatam. So prescribed duties, actually, for the majority, if you read the 7th canto, there are 5 important chapters that all of you should read as soon as possible, I would say. It's one of the important sections where one of our, Narada Muni, who is one of the 12 Mahajans, speaks very elaborately on the science of Varnashrama. So that's Canto 7, chapter 11 to 15. 7, 11 to 15, very important. There are specific references like this small book, which is in the folio as well, called Gita Nagari. That's why our village in Indonesia is named after this essay. Many of you may be less aware. Prabhupada wrote a very nice essay called Gita Nagari that he published in his Back to Godhead magazine way back in 1956. Yeah. So, anyways, these are a few things. You're all very extremely fortunate. Number one, to have come in contact with Krishna consciousness. Number two, to be here in Srila Mayapur. Srila Mayapur ki jai. So, and I think the devotees are coming from different places like that. Yeah. So, when we come to a place like Srila Mayapur, or Vrindavan or Jagannath Puri, especially to our centers established by our founder, Acharya Srila Prabhupada, we should try to imbibe the and take as much as possible so that we can become inspired. Enthusiasm, Prabhupada explains, is one of the foundational principles for actually advancing in spiritual life. So somehow or other, of course in the beginning, it's like so many things are new, especially for people, let's say, from outside of India, but even from India as well. So to actually really become involved and to become committed, again, regardless of where you might be, whatever ashram you will be choosing, try to find something, and there are so many aspects within the Krishna consciousness movement, try to find something that will actually be very meaningful to you, and in this way you can build on this. And we should know the whole world is in dire need of this knowledge of Krishna consciousness. These books, Prabhupada would explain, these are not just books from India, they're not simply Hindu books. They are books of knowledge actually for the whole world and for people of all kinds of beliefs or denominations, etc. like that. So I think it's possibly good if we take some time for some comments or questions like that, which anyway gives an opportunity for me to hear a little bit what, if anyone had been listening, or to hear what's on your mind. Hare Krishna.
Mike,
Yeah, now we can mic. Okay. Anyways, yeah. Oh, we have 2 mics. My God, how many mics? 2, huh? Okay. 3, 4. Okay. Whoever is speaking can raise your hand so I can write. Yes.
Right hand.
Yeah.
Hare
Right.
Krishna, Maharaj Dandasana.
Yes.
Prabhuji, sorry, Maharajji, by your blessing, in a village like Kutam and Hazaribagh, the wonderful and congregation is happening. The students are, Gurukul is established. The students are, established in the Varnashram Dharma. So in Maharashtra, is there any project going on, or is there any future scope?
Yes, yes, yes.
Please.
Well,
I would like to join.
there are a few things happening. Well, there's probably more than a few things, but I'm aware of a few things in relation to establishing self-sufficient communities. Actually, one devotee, along with some other, he's a householder, along with other families. I can't remember exactly the location, but he's from Maharashtra, number one. He used to be connected with the IDVM, Iskcon Daiva Varnashram Ministry, that has its office here in Mayapur. And he started a project. He gave the name, was it? Sayadri Surabhi Kunj. Sayadri Surabhi Kunj. You can possibly Google it. And his name is Shamananda. I could give you contact details later on. And so there are things happening, yeah, in Maharashtra, other places. I don't know all the things that are taking place, but there is definitely a kind of maybe in the last few years, more devotees becoming aware of the importance actually of connecting and somehow supporting or being part of these type of endeavors. Okay? Yeah. Yes.
Pranam Maharaj.
Yes.
Maharaj, I wanted to ask that in today's time we don't have so much like personal association of Srila Prabhupada, but you were so fortunate that you had. Now we have his books as his association. Can you please tell what some of your experience with Srila Prabhupada that give you most inspired to be always connected to him, that will inspire us also to be always connected to him? We'll feel some connection more to him.
Yes. I'm sure that many devotees have heard this before, but it's not only those who came after Srila Prabhupada who didn't get that direct association. For example, I never directly spoke to Srila Prabhupada, and I'm not the only one. You know, anyone who joined, not anyone, but probably the vast majority of devotees who joined after 72, 74, like that, there was, for various, reasons, much because Prabhupada was traveling quite extensively. And I'm mentioning this actually to simply underline the fact that many who are, let's say, direct disciples of Srila Prabhupada didn't get that much personal association. I mean, I know some of my godbrothers and godsisters who never even saw physically, never even, were never present physically during the time that Prabhupada was physically present. So, and we know that's part of our philosophy also, how Vani is more important than Bapu. Bapu is nice, not to minimize its importance, but actually of the two, if we can, hear and endeavor to understand what message is being conveyed, what is the mission that this particular personality, our founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada is giving, and somehow connect, by ultimately, of course, by his mercy, by the mercy of other Vaishnavas, then we can develop the highest, level of realization, the highest level of enthusiasm also, simply through the Vani. And connection is actually even stronger, through these instructions. So, I mean, of course, everyone is different, and everyone has their own kind of maybe approach. Many of the young, I was in my late 20s, and although I never physically, of course, I was initiated by Prabhupada. I first saw Srila Prabhupada in the summer of '74, when we came to know that Prabhupada was coming to New Vrindavan, and he was going to give initiations, and I had been like about 6 months in the movement. So in those days, one would get initiated a little earlier. Some devotees got initiated like 3 days after. What happened? Yeah. Prabhupada was very merciful, and the need was there at the time as well. But many, if not the majority, of disciples, Prabhupada disciples, never had this kind of one-to-one, or even, any kind of physical exchange. And I guess you can get a glimpse of it. I'm referring to the kind of mood and mentality that was there by looking at some of the videos that are available that show Srila Prabhupada, traveling, being received at different places, etc., or by personal interviews with devotees, especially who had that kind of very, very personal, direct connection with Srila Prabhupada. But again, as I mentioned, majority of devotees had or were able to develop that same kind of commitment and surrender simply by reading Prabhupada's books, by hearing his lectures, and just by, beginning to appreciate what he has done for all of us individually, and what he's doing, what he continues to do today through the mission, through his books, etc., like that. And so in this way, all of us, Prabhupada's mission, Prabhupada's instructions, Prabhupada as an individual is available to all of us. Simply we have to be receptive and take to heart what he has given to us. Yeah. Mike, you have to show the mic. Okay. Yes.
Yes, Maharaj. So you very wonderfully explained the importance of Varnashrama to protect the Vedic culture. So Maharaj, my question is, most of us are in colleges and will be joining to corporates for a job. And so for those who are living in cities and doing corporate jobs, so how can they be part of Varnashrama?
Everyone can be and should be part of the Varnashrama mission, and how that will translate for you as an individual who will be wherever you might be. If you connect, for example, read up on some of the literatures that I was referring to, this can help you understand. You see, we need, wherever we may be, we need to give support to this 50% of Prabhupada's unfulfilled mission in whatever way, in whatever capacity that we can. We need devotees from our cities to actually understand the importance of villages. Our villages, one of the, in this pamphlet here, at the bottom it says, save our cows, save our villages, and save our culture. If we don't save our villages are in dire need. Our cows are quickly, within a short time, they're not going to be there. So every single individual needs to find how, in which way he can be. My point is that everyone should be somehow or other, either by going to villages, either by supporting some Goshala, or it's not only just about cows, it's a whole culture and lifestyle. And there is also something to be said in terms of knowing and understanding, because Prabhupada spoke about this, and he made the point very clear as well, that modern day civilization, I'm just quoting Srila Prabhupada, modern day civilization, the way it is set up, is a doomed civilization. I can give you many quotes on this as well. As a matter of fact, there's a very important quote that I think is worth sharing because Prabhupada was accused. It's amazing actually, because Prabhupada was a city boy. I mean, he was from Calcutta. But even though he was from Calcutta, he had such deep realizations and understanding of the importance of villages and the need for us to save the villages. Because if we don't save the villages, if we don't save the cows, if we don't do something very concrete in that respect, if we don't save our system of education also, then forget about reviving Vedic culture, you see. And when we understand that, let me just, it's not very far away. And one of our, let's see, okay. This was shared actually directly what Prabhupada spoke about. Here we go. You ready? This is from a morning walk. You can make a note of it so that you might want to go back to this. It's not very long, but it's quite directly connected with morning walk, May 27th, 1974, in Rome, Italy. And the title here, which is summarizing the conversation between Prabhupada and a few of his disciples, as we make progress, we don't need city temples. Whoops. Where are our ideal farm communities? So the conversation is like this. One devotee, Yogeshwar, is telling, so then we should begin our rural communities like New Vrindavan, and then by training up people in the cities, we can send them gradually. Before finishing the sentence, Prabhupada comes in and he says, there will be no city. There will be no city. We don't want cities. I'm just quoting Prabhupada, right? Then another devotee, Bhagavan, what about our city temples, right? Pune especially. You might want to share this quote with Radhesham Prabhu. Okay, this might be a little painful, but bear in. There will be no city, we don't want city. Then Bhagavan says, yeah, what about our city temples? Prabhupada says, no, for the time being, it may go on. But as we make progress, there will be no necessity. City means, for the present, we have got. Because the city is there, we are there. But suppose the city is closed. We shall still be there. If the city is closed, you still will be there. So the devotee Yogeshwar replies, but we can predict that the cities will go on for quite some time. Intelligent response. Then Prabhupada gives his intelligence response. Yes, it will go on, but when they will see that your ideal community is better than city life, people will take to it. Param drista nivartate, Bhagavad Gita 9:59. When one gets a better standard of life, naturally he will give up the lower standard of life. Now, I'm not going to give any purport to this. I think it's pretty, Now, everything needs to be understood in proper context, but I mean, this is one of many similar quotations that is underlining our, what's the proper word? Precarious. Our precarious situation in modern day society. Our modern cities are unsustainable and they will crumble. They're meant to crumble by definition. The Prabhupada is asking this question, are you still going to be in the cities when the cities crumble? Actually, our primary reason to be in the cities is for preaching. And that's why on many, many occasions, I've tried to convey this point, which is Prabhupada's point. Our cities are primarily meant to be our preaching basis. We should be in the cities for preaching. Whereas rural life, rural communities, villages are meant to be our living basis. Cities, preaching basis, village, living basis, where we raise our children, where we give proper Vedic education. And we don't know what is Vedic education. Most of us, even as devotees. Most of us as devotees don't know, don't understand what is Vedic education. So that quote I was mentioning earlier from the 10th canto is giving us insight. Prabhupada is giving us that insight as to the two standard forms of education, right? For Brahmanas, it's academic education. For Brahmanas, it's college and university in our modern, But that's for a very small percentage. Brahmanas are very rare. Brahmana will spend hours and hours reading a book without falling asleep. Isn't it? Day in and day out, day after day. So Brahmanas are, especially in Kali Yuga, are very rare. So the standard occupation, that's why I mentioned about the 7th canto. Prabhupada says major or main occupation for householders is actually meant to be connected with cows and land. Agriculture has always been known and accepted as the most noble culture or activity. One of our devotees gave a course we had last Kartik. We're planning again this Kartik, a 1-month series of course on different subjects, Varnashram related. And the title of his course was Our Culture dash agriculture. Touché. Yeah. Vedic culture is agrarian culture. When we are disconnected with the cows, this is inauspicious. Most of us are disconnected with cows. Okay. Is that okay? It may not be okay, but yes. Huh? No, speak in the mic because I can hear you. Oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, I'll repeat your question.
I want to just clarify that we are going ahead in this village, like village making, like a GB or New Vrindavan project, or like reaching to new villages and converting them to some.
You want some clarification in terms of what we should do in villages?
Like how this will be progressing ahead. It's like we are creating new villages like Govardhan Eco village, a New Vrindavan.
Okay. Yeah. So the question is like we are creating like Govardhan Eco village, and like we created our village in Indonesia also. There's two ways to go about actually reviving Vedic culture. One is to go to the existing villages and make them into actually ideal villages, because most of the villages in India and around the world, for that matter, are becoming more and more urbanized, isn't it? Influenced by, yeah. So there's a need, in many ways, it may be the easiest way to go in existing villages, and therefore there's a need for devotees to go and begin regularly to cultivate people. But we will only be successful if we understand, if we have a clear and profound understanding of what is Varnashrama Dharma. Yeah. Because it means actually gradually instructing villagers that actually the way you're farming is not proper. You're destroying the soil, isn't it? Yeah. You're using chemicals, chemical fertilizers. You're using tractors. You're destroying the soil. The food production is becoming problematic, etc., like that. That's one way. The other way is actually we can also, and there are examples. Govardhan Eco village is one of them. Ditanagar is another, and we have many other examples of where we go somewhere and we start from scratch. So both options are there. So it will depend on so many different factors, but both are bona fide, I would say. Yeah, whichever. Yes, you have a mic? So who yeah, you have to have a mic. Yes.
How much love we have to get to directly talk to Krishna?
How much?
Love.
Love.
We have to get to directly talk to Krishna.
How much love do we need? Unlimited. Not to discourage you. Actually, to come to Krishna, we may not even initially have love. But if we have a sincere desire to develop that love, because, we use the word love quite loosely in the material world, but love in the spiritual context, the devotional context, means unconditional, unmotivated, uninterrupted. That kind of love is not so easy. But but it is possible if we simply apply the process given to us by those who are experiencing that level of love for Krishna. And it's Krishna Bhakti Nitya Siddha. This Krishna Bhakti, this love of Krishna, it is our eternal quality and nature. Krishna Bhakti Nitya Siddha Sadhya Kabunai Sravanadi Sudachite Korai Udai. The process is simply by hearing, Srinvatam Sukata Krishna Punya Sravana Kirtana Vidyantastoya Badrani Vidinoti Suritsatam. So many nice verses, explanations are there. How to awaken. That love is actually already there. Krishna is described as Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Isvara Parama Krishna Satchit Ananda Vigraha. Anadi Radhi Govinda Sarva Karana Karanam. We are part and parcel of Krishna. Namaivamkro Jiva Loke. So we also have this quality of Satchit Ananda. It needs to be awakened. And it becomes awakened when we are in association with persons who are on that path, who are making that endeavor. And it's like famous example that Prabhupada gives, when you put a rod in the fire, by the association with the fire, that rod actually, although a rod, becomes transformed, takes on the quality of fire. So in the same way, we associate with devotees, we associate with the hearing process, we associate with Krishna Prasadam very soon. And then we also take on the spiritual qualities. And that spiritual qualities means developing gradually our love for Krishna. I need to know from our Antadri Prabhu what time we have to... One more question. We have 2 hands up. How do we do that?
2.
Oh. We have 3. Yes, Mike.
Hare Krishna Maharaj. So my question was regarding Varnashram. So basically in Varnashram there are 4 classes, Brahman, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra. And our training is mostly Brahmanical that we receive, reading scriptures and all. So, and the way currently our movement is going, so I don't understand the need of the Kshatriya Varna basically.
That's terrible. Two things I'd like to explain. One is that, and this is actually in the essay Gita Nagari. Srila Prabhupada, way back, 1956, Gita Nagari essay. But even before that, 1949, make a note of this, 1949 letter, it's in the folio, to Dr. Patel, who was deputy minister. Prabhupada writes a letter to Dr. Patel, and the essence of what he conveys to him, he repeats also in the essay of Gita Nagari. Prabhupada was already envisioning how this mission would be introduced when he would go 10 years later, 1966. Well, he went in 65, but when he established in 1966. Prabhupada spoke of 4 movements. You know the 4 movements? We spoke about it, huh?
You have spoken other place.
Other place, okay. Yeah, but it's important for devotees actually to know that there's 4 phases that the movement is meant to be introduced. And it's connected also with Kshatriya because at the end of this short explanation, we'll understand why Kshatriyas are necessary. Prabhupada spoke of Prabhupada's own words, Sankirtan movement, the holy name and books. Chanting the holy name and distributing transcendental literature. First of 4 phases. First of 4 movements. Second movement, Prabhupada spoke of temple worship movement, establishing temples, isn't it? Where people can come. Third movement, spiritual initiation movement, training and educating people in the science and the art of Krishna consciousness to the point they become committed, isn't it? And the fourth movement, Prabhupada called it classless society movement. And by classless society, he meant the 4 varnas, but where everyone is understanding oneself simply to be a servant of Krishna. You see, that is Daiva Varnashrama, as opposed to Asurik Varnashrama, impure Varnashrama. So when we have Krishna in the center, when we have bhakti, devotional service as the main activity, now within temples we may, well even within temples, managers, if you don't have managers, you wouldn't be here. Somebody arranged for you to all come to Mayapur. So Kshatriya means management. There are three main activities actually for Kshatriyas. The first one is protection. Physical protection and protection of the principles of dharma. Protection, administration, second, and welfare. These are the three areas for Kshatriyas. And it is the Kshatriyas who actually will establish this fourth movement. The first three movements is what we see every day and what has been ongoing and mostly prominent within our Iskcon society for the last, so many years. The fourth one has evaded us, or we've not implemented, we've not understood. And it can actually ultimately only be established by Kshatriyas because it has to do with management. And it has to do with the greater society outside of our temples, outside of our Iskcon society. So within our Iskcon society, Varnashrama is for both within our society and outside the society. It's not immediately, so there are many aspects of Varnashrama which are even debated quite seriously even today by different persons, even sometimes positions of persons of different leadership position. It's a big topic. Dharma is a very major subject matter, and according to Srila Narada Muni, Dharma is what we should be trying to understand and endeavoring to deepen both our understanding and application. So, Kshatriya means management, at least that is anywhere, in any organization, you need to have directors, you need to have people who manage. So Kshatriyas, especially for the greater society, is necessary. Who's the second? Yes? You have a mic? No mic. Yeah. Yes.
Maharaj, I remember somewhere I heard that preaching is what your seniors want you to do. So,
preaching is what?
What your seniors want you to do. If your seniors want, what your superiors want you to do. The superiors want you to cook, then you cook, then it is preaching. If your superiors want to dress the lady, then it is preaching. So my question was, Maharaj, how to become a very nice, good instrument in the hands of superiors so that they can use us whenever they think.
How to become a good instrument in the hand, yes. Means how to become a good servant. Yes. We simply have to hear attentively the good instructions that are given by our acharyas, and we simply have to follow the very clearly outlined, defined principles and practices that are given, especially in the Nectar of Devotion by Srila Rupa Goswami. And definitely we need to develop this, this attitude of wanting to serve. And of course, everything and anything that we do in connection with Krishna, in connection with Dharma, this is all preaching. These are all preaching activities. People who are developing rural communities, that's also preaching, isn't it? Yeah. So anything, if it's connected with Krishna, it's part of the preaching mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And we need to especially make this simultaneously distinction and connection. we need to understand the difference between spiritual Swadharma and material Swadharma, and we need to make the connection. We need to understand that both need to go hand in hand, and that the whole dimension of villages, cows, land, and knowledge are very essential and very fundamental for all of that to happen. And it's really getting close to Prasadam time, I think. Right, yeah. So I want to take this opportunity to once again thank you all for being here in Srila Mayapur and for giving me this opportunity to spend a little bit of time with all of you, and may you all continue to progress and advance more and more in devotional life, devotional service, and may Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and the Panchatattva, Sri Radha Madhava, Lord Nrsimhadev, give you all their blessings. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So actually Maharaj is staying in a very